Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Bits episode. So with buying EVs, it is a very different question for a lot of people where you're not just looking to buy a car for its features and then you go to a gas station to fill it up like everything else. EVs have different charging speeds, different charging curves, different ports and compatibilities with different chargers a lot of times, at least in the history of EVs so far. Today I want to dive into a tool that a Better Route Planner has. If you don't know what it is, it basically allows you to put in your EV and it gives you a route to your destination, and it tells you where to stop and charge all along the way. But basically they've come out with a comparison tool and I want to look into that tool and show you what it's all about.
Are you in the market for a brand new electric car? Yes? Then come closer. Have I got news for you? Our friends at the CCAN Action Fund are giving away 3 brand new EVs as a part of their 8th annual Raffle for the Planet fundraiser. That means 3 winners. If you've been looking for a chance to drive off in a brand new electric vehicle, this is it. The first place winner will drive off in a brand new Rivian, Lucid, or Porsche EV. The second place winner will drive off in a highly anticipated Rivian R2 or one of the Hyundai IONIQ lineup, or the very fun Volkswagen ID Buzz. The third place winner will get a Chevrolet Bolt, and they even cover state and federal taxes.
So they only sell 10,000 tickets, and right now less than 4,000 are sold, so those are fantastic odds.
It's only $200 per ticket, so go ahead and get yours now. To enter, go to www.ebraffle.org. Pause this video right now and go to www.ebraffle.org and enter to win. Or you can go down in the show notes and find the link down there.
Now, I have used a Better Route Planner for years comparing EVs, but you had to compare them once at a time. So you had to put in an EV on a route and then change the EV and kind of remember the data in your head and do all this. They've come out with a comparison tool, which I saw pop up in my inbox because I was subscribed to like their newsletter thing. And so I just wanted to kind of go over it and see what it was about. I think it's a cool enough thing where I wanted to show you guys. So basically what you can do is put in up to 3 different vehicles that maybe you're interested in or looking at buying, and then you can see exactly the energy they would take across the trip, which one's the fastest, which one has the better charging curve based on information it gives you and stuff like that. So I could compare, let's say, an ID4, like my own personal car, to a Model Y, which I don't have, or a new Rivian R2 that is just starting to come out, and things are just starting rolling on the Rivian R2 side. But that's a new hot car that you want to kind of understand, okay, Rivian R2 or IONIQ 9, right? That's a big 3-row SUV. How much of a difference is there really? And this, if you don't want to get into the super nerdy stuff and sit there for hours playing with it, like a lot of, I think our out of spec nerds would do, for people who maybe aren't as interested in that, this is a very cool tool to quickly go over and say, I'm interested in these general cars. I like the way these look. Let me compare them in this tool to see how this works for my commute or my travel, basically. And this video is in no way sponsored. I just saw it and thought it was interesting, and you guys would find it interesting too. So I will see you on the laptop. And here is the comparison tool on a Better Route Planner's website. I'm going to compare maybe some new to 2026 vehicles that are in the popular categories like a midsize SUV type of thing. Rivian R2, Tesla Model Y, which is a little smaller, a little cheaper, but still a strong competitor that a lot of people are going to look at. And then Hyundai IONIQ 9, which is an exciting one for this year, kind of all in a sort of similar class. But let's go over, to start with, like the comparisons here and what you can get out of it, what you could see. So right off, we get the Better Route Planner estimated range, which basically this is the data that a Better Route Planner has collected from input and users and things over time, that they have been able to get their own idea of what the real world range is based on what people are actually getting. And so reference consumption here, you can look at all the little details under this. Of course, lower value, watt hour per mile, very precise numbers, which is nice. Gives you battery capacity, battery chemistry, which is interesting and nice to see, because in cold weather, if it's LFP, it may not perform as well as a NMC battery like we see over here, or NCMA battery. Peak DC charging power, And then the cool thing that they give you, which I think is pretty nice, is the ideal charge time and the ideal drive time. So this gives you an idea of just how good the charging curve is and not the peak speeds. Because if we see, okay, the Hyundai IONIQ 9, despite having a much worse efficiency than the Model Y and much slower peak charging speeds, the ideal drive time is 180 miles versus the Model Y's 137 miles. And that tells you something important, because you basically want to charge a little longer and deeper into the pack, because you hold charging speeds for longer. It's better for you to just stay rather than go to the next charger. So that kind of gives you a good idea. That's a good quick way of seeing, okay, what's the top end charging like on this car at a high level, so that you can just know by looking quickly if you want to compare a car you're trying to buy. Yeah, drivetrain, it is interesting that we see heat pump or not, and so these are all checked, but that's also a way you can go, okay, maybe in colder weather this might not be as good for me on your specific route or commute or whatever. And you can do seasonal, or you can put in a manual input and say, here's the temperature in this one is in Celsius, but we can do, you know, whatever month you want to do. So if you want to see, okay, worst case scenario in January, what's my efficiency going to be? We can do that. This is cool. So I did here at the track in Roanoke Rapids or Garysburg, North Carolina. And let's say you wanted to go to Orlando or Miami or just somewhere for a vacation for whatever theme park. And you can sit here and compare. We all leave the house at 100%. And this is assuming like a new car. And then here is your charging spots in Lynchburg. Hyundai IONIQ 9 goes to Florence. And then they all go to Ridgeland. And then, so there's some variance there, and the IONIQ 9, with its being less efficient, is stopping one extra time, maybe to optimize. One thing I will say, a few times I've noticed on here to be aware of is it on occasions is charging these cars, especially like the Tesla Model Y, to 95 to 100, almost 100%. And I'm like, you should never do that. Just don't do that. So the comparison tool is a cool guidance, but it's not like dead on accurate. You just shouldn't ever charge the Model Y above 90%. It makes no sense. And it has so much range, you can just go to another charger, go way before 90%, leave. Even some of these I think are charging too high, and like the IONIQ 9 does charge really well up top, so charging to 80% here is really not a big deal. But like with the Model Y, 76%, it's done a pretty good job on this one, going to Miami from here. But on some, it's trying to just don't charge over 80, 90. That just makes no sense. But our total time, or let's look at our winner here, would have been the Rivian R2, which is surprising to me. Yeah, that's interesting. Surprising. So in this situation, that would have been by really margin of error almost the winner by 3 minutes. And then only a few more minutes, you've got the IONIQ 9, really just because of that extra stop. And at least this is on paper, all ideal, but total drive time, or total time and then drive time and your total charge time, so they're all within a couple minutes of each other in terms of charge time, which is interesting to see. And then your energy used, so this tells you, okay, if I'm paying for DC fast charging that's pretty expensive, which one's going to be the most efficient for me? And that's, of course, the Model Y. Very efficient car, and you can see that here with your total energy used, your average consumption numbers. And then these are all just comparisons to give you an idea. If you want more specifics, obviously I have used for years just a better route planner to put in a car with specific details and then change the car to kind of see what it's like. But this gives it all to you on one page, which I really like. So the accuracy of the information sometimes is just something to be aware of if you are looking at this. I've put in the Model Y, and it is showing for the 2026 model, it's showing the standard rear-wheel drive is a 56 kilowatt hour, which might be an LFP battery, but I'm not certain. But I think that's the European models is what that is. And here in the US, we don't have that. We have the 69, I think it's 69.5 kilowatt hour standard battery. So those are things to be aware of if you are in the US or in different regions. Don't just click on standard and go, oh, that's it, because I think some of these are a little mixed up and different. But I am using what I believe is the same battery, the long range. It's very close anyways, as the US version. And so, you know, just be aware of little things like that. But being able to find what works for you and your travel style or commute is really cool here, because some people, if you want to DC charge a lot on long trips, you may be more comfortable with the way certain ones charge. Okay, you could do deep charges with the IONIQ 9, maybe it has a little more room, and you can just, you know, charge away up at every charging stop because you're, you know, stopped for a decent amount of time. I don't know. Different people have different preferences with that, and it's really cool to be able to come in here and see that. If your commute is, you know, if you're looking for range wise, you can look here at the ABRP planner range and see, all right, they're all pretty similar, but the IONIQ 9 has a bigger battery, so it's less efficient. Okay, what's going to cost me more on my commute? And it's a really cool way to just quickly lay those out. So I put some German sedans in here. If you want the top tier, like fast performance sedans, and you're like, all right, I want a German car, I want performance, but I also need to go long distances. And we all know the performance wheels, everything else hurt efficiency. What does that look like here? Well, let's look at the BMW i7 M70 xDrive, the Mercedes EQS AMG 53 4MATIC, and the Porsche Taycan Turbo S, which is a classic, and with incredible charging speeds. So let's compare what they have. It looks like they all have heat pumps, or it's optional on the Taycan. And we're going to do that same trip to Miami, and let's look at what we've got. Well, the Mercedes has one less stop because we got 118 kilowatt hour battery. Absolutely massive battery. That helps a ton with that. And so not having to have a fourth stop means that it does the shortest time in 14 hours 9 minutes. And that one stop really is probably what helped it. The Taycan's charging speed, clearly you're charging very short stops and getting long distances in there. And the BMW, this is also on their previous kind of architecture still, I believe. 30-minute charging sessions, good bit longer, and so that just did not do quite as well. But still pretty good range there. Peak DC charging speed is only 200 kilowatts compared to the 316 on the Taycan. So big difference there. And yeah, you can look at that. You can see your cost breakdown here, like I said on the other ones. It's just really cool to be able to come in here and compare that on whatever side of the market you're looking. The only thing I might want to add or suggest here is being able to compare, let's say, used cars. So if I want to go, I'm looking at 3 different cars and I want to put in my battery degradation and then do all that, because you can do that on the regular ABRP planner system, but not the comparison tool. So hopefully that'll be something they add in the future. Then that way we can look at like used cars with different degradation and what that might be like. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for that. It's pretty cool tool, pretty helpful. I have enjoyed it so far, being able to look at different cars and play around with it. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you again on another out of spec bits video soon.